commercial banks, and other financial institutions through PDM, Emyoga, Youth and Women Livelihood Funds, Women Enterprise Support Funds totaling shillings 9.1 trillion, which is equivalent to 3.6% of total domestic economic output in financial 24-25. External sector development. Madam Speaker, total exports of goods and services for the 12 months of March 2025 is US dollars 11.8 billion from US dollars 9.56 billion for the same period in year 2024. Of this, exports of goods were US dollars 9.3 billion for the same period, up from 7.3 billion in March 2024, representing growth of 26%. The top exports include gold, US dollar 3.698 billion, coffee, US dollars 1.83 billion, which alone had an annual average growth of 84.9%. Industrial products, 626.5 US dollars million, cocoa beans, US dollars 410.8 million, milk products, US dollars 285 million, base metals and products, US dollars 230.6 million, sugar, US dollars 186.5 million, fish and fish products, US dollars 107.7 million, maize, US dollars 86.37 million, and other agricultural products like tea, tobacco, cotton, beans, fruits, vegetables, flowers, simsim, sesame, nuts, vanilla, and other grains, giving US dollars 575.9 million. Madam Speaker, this financial year, for the first time in the history of Uganda, coffee exports earnings not only exceeded the $1 billion mark, but are on track to double to US dollars 2 billion per year. While it took the country more than a century to reach US dollars 1 billion earnings per annum from coffee, it has taken just 1 year to double these earnings. This is an example of the kind of economic leap envisioned under the tenfold growth strategy. I therefore implore Ugandans to grow more coffee and, most importantly, add value to our coffee before we export it for higher earnings. Madam Speaker, for the year ending March 2025, the Middle East was Uganda's top export destination, followed by the East African Community, Asia, and the European Union. Uganda recorded large trade surpluses with the Middle East worth US dollars 186.3 million, and the European Union worth US dollars 117.7 million. The main export commodities to these markets were coffee, industrial, and mineral products. Madam Speaker, I wish to note that His Excellency the President, Madam Speaker, I wish to note that His Excellency the President's message and deliberate strategy of increasing the share of manufactured exports in total exports has started producing positive results. New research by the Harvard Economic Growth Lab shows that Uganda has become more complex for its level of income. This means that while earnings from traditional exports like coffee are significantly increasing, their contribution to the total export basket is declining. New products that require more advanced production technology than that expected for our level of income are contributing an increasing share of our total exports. According to the study, in the last 15 years, Uganda added 31 new products to its export basket. Among these are ICT equipment, serums and vaccines, medicines, new pneumatic tires, batteries, gas turbines, electric integrated circuits, transmission apparatus for radio, telephone and TV, measuring instruments, and instruments for physical and chemical analysis, and light manufactured products such as steel, processed food, cement, pharmaceuticals, dairy products, ceramics, and cloth. The country also has an opportunity of harnessing the production of 50 new complex products which are referred to as strategic bets. Tourism and foreign direct investment. Madam Speaker, tourism earnings have grown by 13.1% to US dollars 1.52 billion in 12 months to March 2025 from US dollars 1.36 billion during the same period in 2024. This impressive growth is attributed to the sustainable peace, increased competitiveness of Uganda's tourism industry, and government investment in strategic tourism infrastructure, including Uganda Airlines, remittances from Ugandans living and working abroad were US dollars 1.4 billion 12 months to March 2025, compared to US dollars 1.33 billion in the same period in 2024. Madam Speaker, Uganda has maintained its top ranking as one of the best investment destinations in Africa. Let me repeat this. Madam Speaker, Uganda has maintained its top ranking as one of the best investment destinations in Africa. Foreign direct investments were worth US dollar 3.4 billion in 12 months to March 2025, compared to US dollars 2.99 billion during the same period in 2024. This performance was due to improved competitiveness of our economy. Fiscal performance. Madam Speaker, revenue collection is projected at shilling 31.9 trillion this financial year ending June 2025, equivalent to about 14.3% of total domestic economic output or GDP. Total expenditure outturn is estimated at shillings 51.53 trillion this financial year, excluding Bank of Uganda securities and domestic financing date rollover. The budget deficit is estimated at 7.2% of GDP. Madam Speaker, government plans to collect shillings 37.2 trillion in domestic revenue next financial year 25-26. This will finance about 60% of the national budget. The rest of the budget will be financed through borrowing and grants. Madam Speaker, government has stepped up efforts to mobilize domestic revenue. Going forward, emphasis will be put on the following. 1. Broadening the tax base through strategic investment in the opportunities in agro-industry, tourism, minerals, including oil and gas, science, technology, and innovation, including ICT, as well as interventions that support wealth creation and the growth of small and medium enterprises. Eliminating corruption at URA through punishing corrupt officers and taxpayers who collude with URA staff, as well as leveraging digital platforms to minimize human interaction. 3. Enhancing implementation of electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solutions, which is congregation EFRIS, digital tax stamps, rental tax solution, and regular audits, especially for transfer pricing. Combating smuggling at border points through extended surveillance using advanced technologies like scanners, drones, and tracking systems, with increased patrols in high-risk areas. Rationalizing tax exemptions to focus on only those that support industrial policy and introducing sunset clauses. Amending tax laws to close loopholes that cause revenue leakage and providing clarity to encourage voluntary compliance. Strengthening URA, including recruitment and training of tax officers to effectively administer tax collection, and supporting local governments and revenue-generating public entities to increase revenue collection. Accountability for financial 24-25 and priorities for the financial 2025-26. Madam Speaker, when I delivered the budget speech for financial 24-25, I made several commitments on government expenditure priorities for the financial year. In February 2025, I presented a detailed semi-annual budget performance report of this financial year to Parliament in line with the law. In this section, I provide the highlights of what government has achieved this financial year to date. Madam Speaker, with respect to investing in people of Uganda, the following has been achieved. Let me repeat. Madam Speaker, with respect to investing in the people of Uganda, the following has been achieved. Health. Madam Speaker, during this financial year 24-25, the following milestones have been achieved in the health sector. 1. Government continued to invest in saving the lives of Ugandans by providing shillings 721 billion for healthcare supplies, general and essential medicines under the national medical stores. This included additional financing of shillings 100 billion for essential medicines, shillings 116.8 billion for RRVs, shillings 2.9 billion for anti-malaria medicines, shillings 17.8 billion for immunization supplies, and shillings 52.3 billion for laboratory supplies, and shillings 2.1 billion for anti-TB drugs. Government continued to improve healthcare infrastructure and equipment. For example, we completed, equipped, and commissioned 3 regional blood banks in Hoima, Arua, and Soroti. Operationalized 16 high-capacity oxygen plants across key regional referral hospitals. Continued infrastructure development and equipping of the 2 specialized centers for cancer and cardiovascular care. Infrastructure development of Rubowa Specialized Hospital is now at 68% progress, and training of the specialists is ongoing. Constructed new maternity wards and the staff houses in the health center 2s that are being upgraded to health center 3s. Distributed 20 digital X-ray machines to general hospitals and installed CT scans in 14 out of 16 regional referral hospitals. Government implemented interventions for preventive health care, for disease prevention and promotion of healthy lifestyles. For example, trained and deployed community health extension workers across the country to deliver essential health education on hygiene and sanitation, nutrition and disease prevention, and to support routine immunization efforts. Undertook residual spraying in 13 districts, which protected the lives of 2.7 billion people and 560,000 households against malaria, and introduced the malaria vaccine into the extended program on immunization targeting children under 5 years of age. He improved the digitization of healthcare services by extending connectivity of the electronic medical record system in 4 national referral hospitals and 16 regional referral hospitals. This has improved patient record management, drug dispensing, and monitoring the attendance of health workers. Strengthened the national ambulance and emergency care system by providing additional ambulances to improve the national emergency response and referral system. Madam Speaker, to further improve the health of Ugandans, a total of shillings 5.87 trillion has been provided in next financial year 25-26. The priority intervention will include 1. Functionalizing health centers force, 2. Strengthening primary health care and community health services, 3. Scale up of national e-health infrastructure, 4. Promotion of nutrition and education and reproductive health, 5. Continued deployment of community health extension workers, 6. Strengthening the national ambulance and emergency referral system, and 7. Construction of specialized health facilities for cancer and cardiovascular care. Now, education. Madam Speaker, the following milestones have been achieved in the education sector. 1. Provided access to universal primary education for 9.2 million learners and 905,116 learners under universal secondary education.
Minister, for record, it is 9.52.
Oh, 4.52. Well, my officers have misled me. And I close that one. 2. Over 5,192 students, both on degree and diploma programs, benefited from higher education students loan financing scheme. In addition, 4,000 learners benefited from government sponsorship joining public universities. 3. A total of 166 seed schools have been constructed under the UGFIT program. 4. In preparation for CHAN and ACFON 27, government has so far spent shillings 496.8 billion for the construction of Hoima and Akibua Stadia, as well as the associated training facilities across the country. Government will spend a total of shillings 1.3 trillion to get these facilities completed. In addition, Mandela National Stadium has been upgraded, and government commissioned the National High Altitude Training Center, Teriyet, in Kapchorwa. In order to improve compliance with quality standards, government digitalized school inspections in all public schools and certificate awarding technical, vocational education and training institutions. to improve the qualifications and skills of primary school teachers to meet the new minimum education requirement of degree level. Government has established the Uganda National Institute for Teacher Education, UNITE. So far, UNITE has enrolled 1,000 students across 5 campuses and has been supported to undertake staff recruitment and take over the operations of 23 primary teachers' colleges to upgrade certificate teachers to diploma level. Rolled out the abridged A-level curriculum to implement the competence-based curriculum for A-level. A total of 357 120 learners successfully completed the 4-year cycle under the new lower secondary educational curriculum and are transitioning to the new A-level curriculum. Implemented the TVET reform to increase industry participation in TVET training and delivery. A new TVET council, Sector Skills Council, and the Secretariat have been established with representation from various sectors. Madam Speaker, next financial year, I have provided 5.04 trillion for priority interventions, which include 1. Continuing to provide free education to Ugandans under UPE, USE, and universal post-O-level education and training. 2. Providing sponsorship and student loans for higher education. 3. Rehabilitation of 120 traditional secondary schools and 31 special need primary schools. 4. Construction of 106 new seed schools and expansion of 61 existing secondary schools. 5. Recruitment of more teachers and non-teaching staff. 6. Strict enforcement of teachers and learners inspection across the country using an electronic system. 7. Providing textbooks and instructional materials to improve the textbook to student ratio to 1.3 from the current 1 to 1.5. Operationalization of Bunyoro and Busoga universities and completion of the ongoing construction of stadia and training facilities ahead of CHAN and AFCON 27, as I've said before. Social protection. Madam Speaker, to keep our senior citizens healthy and to actively participate in socio-economic activities, government has divided shillings 811 billion, benefiting 702 older persons across the country under the social assistance grants for the elderly program, SAGE. In addition, 1,741 older persons group enterprises have been funded with government grants worth 5.5 billion, benefiting 11,644 older persons under the Special Enterprise Grant for Older Persons Program, SEGOP. Other social protection intervention which government has supported include the following: Youth Livelihood Program. A total of 24,228 youth enterprises have been funded to the tune of 191.336 billion, benefiting 274,211 youth.
271,211. Not 274.
I have read it wrong. Let me repeat. 271,211 youth. The enterprises are in agriculture, 30%, trade,
38%.
38%, trade 32%, other services 19%, and others 11%. Uganda Women Entrepreneurship Program, WEP. Government has financed 21,948 women group enterprises, benefiting 235 million, 114 women. National special grant for persons with disability to address high vulnerability and poverty levels among persons with disability. Government has supported 8,107 enterprises, benefiting to 50,900 persons.
59,901.
59,901 persons with disabilities. Madam Speaker, I have provided an additional shillings 404.9 billion for social protection next financial year 2025-26. Water, sanitation, and environmental protection. Madam Speaker, to improve the quality of life, government continues to invest in the provision of safe water, improve sanitation, and ensure protection of the environment. These include the following. 1. Villages in Uganda with at least one safe water source have remarkably increased to 8 out of every 10 villages. Nationwide, 57,951 villages out of 71,225 have been served with a safe water source. 2. Completed the construction of 259 medium and large solar-powered water supply and sanitation systems and gravity flow schemes across the country. 3. Construction of 42 large solar-powered water supply systems is ongoing in Agago, Yumbe, Amudat, Kabong, Kasese, Kakumiro, Sembabule, Kisoro, Rubanda, Mbulamuti, Bulambuli, Kyenkwanzi, Mubende, Kyegegwa, Buyende, Nakaseke, Namayingo, Rakai, and Buvuma. With regard to clean water, construction of pipe-to-town water supply systems is ongoing in 32 towns. These include Namasale, Kakingor, Kamuli, Ngoma Town, Lunya, Karogo, Phase 2, Ishaka, Mobilizing, Nyakashaka, Bukumi, Kanapa, and Odongei. Construction is also ongoing in Parabekar, Rhino Camp, Aradufile, Lubeli Refugee Settlement, Bulori, Nyanseke, Busale, Kibuzi, and expansion in 2 towns of Kiboga and Zigoti. Other beneficial towns are Lamuo, Lacheskot, Iri, Lorenga Kora, Chora, Manafwa, Butaleja Busorwe, Terinyi, Kibuku, Kadama, Budaka, Kaliro, Namungarwe, Lukungiri, and Obongi. Construction of various water supply systems in 26 districts is at very is at varying levels of physical progress. These include Manafwa Town Council and installation of solar packages that is ongoing in Loslang, Kasawo, Phase 1, Kaburabwizi, Phase 1, Bukumi, Burangira, and Kyebando, Kasimbi, and Busale Town. Also, government is starting the development of new piped water supply systems in Rwanda, Kabale, Albetong, Nakasongola, Kamuli districts, among others. Madam Speaker, I have provided an additional shillings 366.1 billion next financial year for water resource management, climate change mitigation, natural resources, and environment. The priority interventions include construction of water supply infrastructure to increase service in the underserved communities in rural, urban, and refugee settlements, increasing rehabilitation and expansion of existing water, sanitation, and hygiene infrastructure, and increasing forest and wetland cover. Madam Speaker, overall, I have allocated a total of shillings 11.44 trillion next financial year towards investing in the people of Uganda through health, education, social protection, and water and sanitation. Now, wealth creation programs. Madam Speaker, wealth creation programs have proved effective in integrating lower-income Ugandans into the economy. As already reported, poverty and inequality have reduced thanks to the following opportunity equalizing initiatives that government has implemented. Parish development model. Madam Speaker, by 30th June this year, a total of shillings 3.3 trillion will have been transferred to 10,589 parishes across the country to transform the household still in subsistence to join the money economy. Each parish gets shillings 100,000 per year. So far, the PDM funds have reached 2.63 million beneficiaries in all districts and parishes. The beneficiaries have invested 45% of the money in cash and food crops such as maize, cassava, onions, bananas, and Irish potatoes, 36% in livestock such as piggery, goats, beef cattle, dairy cattle, and sheep, 20% in poultry, and 6% in other enterprises. These investments are changing the lives of Ugandans by boosting household incomes, enhancing food security, and creating employment opportunities at local level countrywide. Madam Speaker, PDM operations have been fully digitized to ensure secure and smooth flow of the government grants directly from the National Treasury to the beneficiaries. Government using the National Identification Number, NIN, and the PDM information system to identify the beneficiaries, the Wendy application to send the money, and the Zaidi application to monitor and ensure that the money goes to the right beneficiaries and that they are using it to finance the right enterprises. This has enhanced efficiency and convenience in access and helped to reduce corruption in the PDM operations. Effective next year, every parish chief will make use of the PDMs to prepare an annual report on the state of their parish economy and asset register, the SPEAR report. This report will enable tracking of progress towards full monetization of the economy for every parish. Madam Speaker, I have provided an additional 1.059 trillion next financial year 25-26 for further capitalization of the PDM. This will avail an additional shillings 100 million per parish for households that have not yet benefited from the PDM. Government has also provided money to pay for the bank charges to ensure that beneficiaries receive the full amount of shillings 1 million each. Government is also providing a grant of 500,000 shillings for persons with disability over and above the loan of 1 shilling million to cater for the additional access requirements. Madam Speaker, in order to add value to and guarantee markets for PDM outputs, government has stepped up investment in agro-industry through vertical and horizontal value addition. This is targeting production of higher value multi-input products such as nutritional foods, baby foods that use several products like milk, eggs, and maize, and fruits and vegetables. Now, agricultural credit facility. Madam Speaker, government has injected a total of shillings 413.4 billion in the SEF since its establishment in 2010. In a partnership with the participating financial institutions that match the government contribution, this facility has so far provided over 1 trillion in low-interest loans by the end of March 2025 to support agricultural productivity, commercial farming, and agricultural value addition. The SF has so far supported 14,336 beneficiaries, of whom 3,531 are smallholder farmers. The loans have financed the following: grain trading, shillings 431.4 billion, 43%; on farm activities, shillings 312.8 billion, 32%; agro-processing 166.8 billion, 16%; and post-harvest management, shillings 89 billion, which is 9%. Madam Speaker, I have provided additional capital for the SEF of shillings 50 billion next financial year 25-26. This is in addition to the agricultural insurance that benefits all farmers, including PDM beneficiaries. Uganda Development Bank. Madam Speaker, government has cumulatively capitalized the UDB to the tune of shillings 1.5 trillion to support industrialization, agricultural commercialization, and acquisition of appropriate technologies to increase productivity. UDB has so far achieved the following. 1. UDB has provided shillings 2.45 trillion to 607 businesses engaged in commercial agriculture, agricultural value addition, manufacturing, tourism, hospitality, education, health services, creatives, and construction industry, and as at the end of December 2024. 2. Businesses supported by UDB have created 55,553 jobs, generated out of value of shillings 20 trillion, contributed shillings 944.2 billion in taxes, generated an equivalent of shillings 3.3 trillion in forex earnings, and shillings 3.15 trillion in profits for the private sector businesses supported. UDB has implemented special programs targeting small and medium enterprises and youth and women-owned businesses engaged in wealth creation. This has been done through provision of business development and incubation services. In order to ease access, UDB is opening up regional offices and has supported wealth creation enterprises in 96 districts across all the sub-regions. Madam Speaker, I have now provided an additional shillings 1 trillion for UDB next financial year. We turn to Emyoga. Madam Speaker, in order to boost incomes of Ugandans engaged in specialized trades, Emyoga, particularly in urban and peri-urban centers, government has so far provided a total of shillings 660 billion. This has benefited a total of 2.4 million Ugandans in creating 471,000 jobs and kick-starting a new local economy in value-added enterprises such as winemaking, carpentry, coffee value addition, metal fabrication, tailoring, artisanal products, mechanics, women in markets, restaurants,